Channel NITT viewers, I'm DS and welcome to another episode on Channel NITT. So this is going to be another compatibility episode. So I am going to discuss the compatibility of the ENFP with the ENTJ. Personally, I have a lot of ENFPs in my life and I am able to see a constant parallel between all these different ENFPs. So before I start, there is a trigger warning. If you are an ENFP watching this video only to want to hear good things, then please do not continue to watch any further. Because the ENTJ and the INTJ are very similar due to the same cognitive functions, the episode over here might also explain how the ENFP and the INTJ interaction or relationship may be like. So the ENFP is supposed to be the INTJ ideal, which I think is... So I will explain in this video why I think that the ENFP is not a good match for either the INTJ or the ENTJ when it comes to relationship. Now the major difference between the ENFP and the ENTJ or INTJ is that the ENFP uses NE as its dominant function. So extroverted intuition is very different from introverted intuition, which the INTJ and the ENTJ uses. So any NE user like the INTP, ENTP, ENFP and INFP, they are all NE users. They are more used to idea generation. So it is very common for an NE user to come up to you and say, oh, let's do this, or we can do this, or we can make money by selling this. And then they also want to do that. And they want to keep all their options open. However, NI doesn't work this way. Introverted intuition has got a filter. So we zoom straight in based on our intuition, which is the one that makes the most sense. And this difference alone can lead to all the potential problems between the ENFP and the ENTJ or the INTJ. First, we have to take note that the ENFP has NE as their dominant function. So SI, which is introverted sensing, becomes the inferior function. With SI as an inferior function, the ENFP seems to be very flighty, cannot sit still, and always on the move. They can actually move in spurts. So what this means is that if suddenly they decide to do YouTube, they will be so enthusiastic about it and produce YouTube videos in spurts. Alternatively, they can come up with a 15-day challenge and go all the 15 days doing as if they are fully committed into it. And by the time they are done, they totally abandon this project. They cannot show full commitment because NE is not designed that way. They are designed to think of new ideas here, there, here. So this is quite different from the INTJs and ENTJs introverted intuition, which makes us want to continue to complete something to the bitter end. Personally, I'm not too sure from the ENFP's point of view whether they gave up halfway because they cannot focus or because they already can see that it is not going to show results, or they want to now enjoy the thrill of performing some other activity. However, I do note that ENFPs cannot be in one particular place for a long time. So if any ENFPs have promised you something, like for example, let's go on a partnership, let's go on this working relationship, let's form a team. They can be very enthusiastic in the beginning, but they will never stay to the end. They might think that they are going to stay to the end, but in the middle, you will see that they have disappeared. So if the ENTJ and the ENFP is going on a partnership, there will be a lot of problems. The first problem is that of accountability. So based on my personal experiences with ENFPs, they are really not accountable. The ENFPs may not find a need to account to anybody. So you may text an ENFP and they may not reply because they don't feel like replying. It's all according to their relative FI function. Of course, from the ENFP's point of view, they will be able to explain this action of theirs. However, the ENTJ or the INTJ definitely does not function this way. So right at the core, there is a mismatch in lifestyles and in cognitive functions. So they are unlikely to understand each other well. The INTJ and the ENTJ is too serious for the ENFP. And according to the INTJ or the ENTJ, the ENFP may be too frivolous. From the ENTJ's point of view, accountability is very important if you are a partner. So in any committed relationship, I would expect that the ENFP report back, maybe on a daily basis, that you are fine, that you miss the ENTJ or the INTJ. However, the ENFP can disappear for a really long time as well. One ENFP told me that in the work situation, her boss is always chasing her for updates and she is very irritated by it. So I asked this ENFP, why didn't you report? She says, because there is nothing to report. So I can now see that the ENFP, from their point of view, they only want to tell you something when there is something to tell. If not, there is no need to tell. But from the boss point of view or from the lover's point of view, they always want to be updated. So I think this is a point where there is a mismatch in cognitive functions again. Because from my point of view, I want to know if this relationship is going on. You do not leave the other person hanging. So regardless of what kind of relationship you may be, it could be a business relationship or a romantic relationship, one should always be in constant communication, because communication is very important. However, the ENFP may not find this communication important because their auxiliary function is FI, which is based on their personal values. Another thing about the ENFP is that they can generate so many ideas at the same time. So they can say, oh, let's do this, because NE is a function which is very good at idea generation. So they can have a lot of different ideas. However, they themselves cannot deliver that many ideas at the same time. So it almost always appears as if these people are NATOs. No action, talk only. And when you ask them, they say that, oh, it's in the pipeline coming up. But for a very long time afterward, you will not hear from them. There is no follow-up. So theoretically, this act of over-promising is something that the ENTJ or the INTJ will not really like, because to both the INTJ and the ENTJ, integrity is very important. If you have promised something, then you must deliver. Another problem that the ENTJ may have with the ENFP is that they are very scatterbrained. They might only want to see information that they want to see. Also, ENFPs can be really forgetful. So what this means is that if the INTJ or the ENTJ is in a relationship with this ENFP, they have to do a lot of chasing, and they might even have to do all the work for the ENFP. Another problem between the ENFP and the ENTJ or INTJ in a romantic relationship is that of the social circle. So as I see it, the ENFPs are very charismatic, so they are also very sociable. They seem to have a lot of friends and associates. However, the relationships between these friends and associates tend to be very superficial. From the ENTJ or the INTJ's point of view, we want to make very meaningful friendships. So starting from this point of analysis, we can already see that the two people are actually very different in terms of approach in life. So therefore, they are not suitable for each other. There is one curious thing I found out about ENFPs though. In my observation of a lot of ENFPs, I find that they are in committed relationships. This means that they are able to commit to a particular relationship. So when looking for a partner, the ENTJ would definitely want to have someone who is predictably reliable. It is not that the ENFP is not reliable, It's just that they do things very differently. So I'm going to use the analogy of death in the final destination here to compare between the ENFP and the ENTJ.
Premonition with signals indicating that death was now after his best friend.
So if you have watched the Final Destination series, it's very old already, right? You would have noted that death actually has a list of people that needs to be killed or needs to die. So if one is skipped, he will move on to the other one and then the other one, and after the list is exhausted, then he will go back to the first one that did not manage to die. So this is probably how the ENFP may work. So they have a list of things that they want. They try this. If this thing fails, it will be stored. It will be temporarily it might be temporarily ignored or just shelved. They might come back to it one day, or because they are scatterbrained, they will never get to come back to it. This is not the same way that the ENTJ or the INTJ works. If we want to kill a person as death, we make sure that the person dies, then we move on to the next person on the list. So this is where we're going to differ a lot. So I have actually worked with a lot of ENFPs already. It's not that they are not reliable, it's just that their attention is only captured so far as they are interested in a particular project. Once a new project comes in that seems to be more promising or that really captures their interest, they will drift away. So in that regard, the ENTJ and the INTJ may not be able to understand the ENFP well. And sometimes because the INTJ can be really very intriguing, it might actually invoke the ENFP to have very invested interest in the INTJ. So the ENFP can really appear to be very enthusiastic when pursuing the INTJ because the INTJ is very hard to get. And it continues to capture the ENFP's attention. And that is also why the INTJ might have the illusion that, wow, of all the people, the ENFP is truly interested in me. However, the ENFP and the INTJ will face a lot of problems in the long run because their cognitive functions are so distinctively different that they might have a lot of problems trying to gel. So I will be releasing many more compatibility episodes very soon, and if you have not subscribed and you are interested to know about MBTI types and MBTI compatibilities, do subscribe. And if you have any compatibilities that you want us to cover, do comment below. We will try to cover it. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. So there's no offense intended for the ENFP, it's just that from the ENTJ's point of view, you appear like this. Obviously, from your point of view as an ENFP, you are going to see the ENTJ in a very horrible light as well. So point taken, just remain as friends, okay? Okay, I'll see you again in my next episode. Goodbye!